Everything ready to go here? All right, can you confirm you're seeing the right slide
Yes.
on your end?
We are, Greg. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. I'm Greg Jackson with Tucson Parks and Recreation Department. Thanks for joining us this morning for the revised rates and fees town hall. Mayor and council back, I believe in January, put out a notice that the city was considering increasing fees in Parks and Recreation, Park Tucson, and the Planning and Developmental Services Department. So we are going out to the community and doing workshops in each of the ward offices, and this is the second virtual workshop to communicate what those potential fees could be, and then it goes back to mayor and council on April 9th for implementation or consideration for implementation. So you're going to hear from Parks and Recreation first. Then you'll hear from Department of Transportation, and then we'll wrap it up with Planning and Developmental Services. So if you could hold questions till the end, each department will go through a presentation, then we'll open it up for questions at the very end. So I'm going to start with the Park and Recreation fees. The first one that we are proposing increases are on ramadas. Currently, ramadas are all the exact same fee, $30. Doesn't matter if the ramada holds 25 people or 175 people. So this is really about right sizing ramada fees going forward and charging a fee based upon the quantity of people that can use the ramada. So for example, a small ramada right now is $30. Let's go to a weekend because that's more typical to use. $30 currently for a weekend. We're actually proposing a small ramada, which typically holds up to 25 people, will be $25. A medium ramada, which holds closer to 50 people, we're proposing going from $30 to $50. And then a large ramada, which holds 75 to 100, we're proposing going from $30 to 75. And an extra large ramada, which can hold, sometimes 175, 200 people, we're proposing going from $30 to $100. So it's really almost more like $1 per person based upon the size of the ramada. The second fee that we are proposing is actually the removal of a fee. We actually have a $1 fee to enter some of our smaller neighborhood recreation centers. And you can see the list of them here. We are actually proposing to remove that $1 fee, really trying to eliminate maybe folks that can't afford $1 to get into a facility. We want to eliminate that barrier. We want to make sure that they can get in and use those services in those recreation centers. So we're proposing to eliminate the $1 fee just at these specific facilities. Our larger recreation centers are going to continue to have entry fees. So if it's not listed here, the fee would still apply. The next fee that we are looking at increasing is the light fee for youth sports. Currently, the fee is $6 for 2 hours. We are proposing that fee go to $8 per hour. And this is specifically for youth sports groups. The one thing that this change would allow us to charge by the hour, whereas previously we've always charged for the 2-hour window. We're looking at increasing it, but changed it to an hourly fee. So if you only need the lights for 1 hour and not full 2 hours, we'd only charge you for the lights for the 1 hour. Whereas previously we would have charged it the whole $6 for 2 hours. A new fee that we are proposing is added to the pools. We've got an opportunity because of our seasonal temperatures here to invite collegiate teams down that would be interested in renting pool time. So we're looking at proposing a $10 fee per athlete per day for college teams that might want to come down here and do spring training, fall training, whatever. Currently, we don't have a fee for local swim teams to rent lanes. So we're looking at giving the local swim teams an opportunity to rent a lane for $6 per lane for a short course, which I believe is a 25-meter pool. So $6 per lane for 2 hours. And then $15 per lane for a long course, which would be a 50-meter pool for 2 hours. And then also looking at working with some of the other providers in the community that do aquatic programming and letting them come in and use our pools for a rate of $50 per hour. And it's basically a third party could come in and run programs in our pools. They would pay us a fee, but provide the programming at $50 per hour. Another new fee that we are looking at implementing is a commercial use of parks. This is really for service providers that want to come in and do a program in the park, and they want to charge participants to take advantage of their program. So let's think of like a yoga program in the park. If somebody wants to come in and do a yoga program, they want to charge participants to do that yoga program, then the person doing the program needs to pay the park department for that privilege. So we're looking at a daily fee of up to $30, a monthly fee up to $400, and a quarterly fee up to $500. And that rate would be based upon, how many participants do we think they'll have? What's the impact of the park? How much space do they need? But at least this gives us a way to start encouraging that type of use in the park and charging a fee to the organizers that helps us overcome our cost to maintain those spaces, because there will be an impact to the parks for those. And then the last fee that we are looking at increasing is tennis fees. Tennis fees have not been changed here in probably at least 10 or 15 years. Currently, the rate for a resident is $2.50 for a 90-minute session at the tennis courts. We are actually looking at implementing an increase over 3 years. See, this says effective January 1. I believe this is supposed to be July 1. So we're looking at July 1, increasing that to $3.50 per resident. July 1 of 26 going to $4, and then July 1 of 2028 going to $4.50 per resident. That's for a 90-minute session. And then youth, which is currently $1 per 90 minutes, we're looking at increasing to $1.50, then incrementally up to $2, and then $2.50 in 2028. Well, sorry about that. The roller moved on. And then you can see senior rates for tennis, currently $2, again, incrementally going to $2.50. $3.50, and then adding a increasing the light fee, for nighttime use of the court. So going to a per player fee. So it's going to $2. Actually, that stays the same, sorry, across the board. Then increasing the league play fee. Currently it's $16 per court, looking at increasing that to 22, 24, 26. And all of these are consistent with, what the market is for other tennis court providers. And these fees are only apply to the contracted courts here at Randolph Park, at Fort Lowell, and Himmel Park. So those are the only courts where these types of fees would apply. All other courts that are just open to the public are first come, first serve, and no fee for those other courts. So these only apply again to here at Randolph, the Refkin Tennis Complex, Fort Lowell, and Himmel Park. So that wraps up the park fees. And we're going to turn it over to Robin with Transportation.
Hi, can you hear me? Can everyone hear
Yes,
me?
yes.
Oh, good. Okay. And I can't see myself, but hopefully other people can. No? I'm going to ask Amanda to put up our table, our proposed parking rate adjustment table. I'm Robin Rain. I'm one of the deputy directors for City Department of Transportation Mobility. And one of the areas I oversee is Park Tucson. Amanda, are you able to pull our rate table up?
I am sharing. I'm not sure what you all are seeing though.
I'm still seeing proposed parking rate.
Just the title page.
The title. Yeah. So basically there's 3 different areas that we're going to be proposing rate adjustments. One of them is the evening and weekend flat fees for Pennington Garage, Central Garage, Tool Avenue Lot, and Triangle Lot. We're going from $3, which is the current price, Sunday through Wednesday, proposing $4 July of 2024, and going up to $5 a flat rate in 2026. On Thursday through Saturday, which are our higher use, we currently have $5 as a flat rate, and going to $6 in July of this year, and $7 July of 2026. The next category are the monthly permits for garages and lots. You can see the current list. I'm not going to read them all out loud, But other than Pennington Street, the proposal is to go up $5 per month, July of this year, and then go up again $5 per month in July of 2026. And in that case, Pennington will also go up $5 per month. We did a market comparison and we are well below market at this time. So this brings us closer to the current market for downtown monthly parking permits. The third category is on-street commuter and student parking around the U of A, downtown, and 4th Avenue. And we have two categories of this. One is the highest annual permit fee. So the highest we will charge right now is
He needs some milk.
I'm sorry? Can people still hear me?
Yes, we can, Robin. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So we have two categories, the on-street, highest annual permit fee for most of them is $475 right now. The proposal is to go to $550 in July of 2024, $600 July of 2025, and $650 July of 2026. Again, that's the highest rate we would charge. That's not a given that all of those areas would be at that rate. It's just lifting the ceiling. And then the other category is the 4th Avenue on-street commuters, which is currently at $120. And we're proposing going to $150 on July 1 this year, $180, 2025, and $210 in 2026. So none of these rates have changed other than, I'm going to say, Centro and Tool Lot changed in 2021, but other than that, none of these rates have changed since 2013. And this is just to get us closer to the market. The main reason for this is to make sure we continue to cover our costs for security and maintenance and to get some service improvements like expedited garage entrance and exit and some contactless payment options. So that's everything. I guess we're ready to go to Fine Public Services.
All right, and now it's my turn. I'm Christina Swallow. I'm the Director of the Planning and Development Services Department. And we are also proposing to have our fees increased for development review and permitting. On the next slide, just a little bit of history. Greg and Robin both covered this a little bit. Mayor and Council gave notice of intent to raise fees for all three of these departments back in January. The development services fees have not been updated since 2010. The proposed fee increase for all development services reviews and permits is at 3.5% this July 1 and another 3.5% in July of 2025 for a total of 7%. It won't be accumulative. It will be 7% divided by 2. So 3.5 this year and 3.5 again in July of 2025. We are not proposing to adjust the development impact fees, just the review and permitting fees. These fees cover services such as in planning and development, staff review and building permits for all new development, site review, including floodplain and grading permits, signs, historic, special district review, rezonings, and special exceptions. It also covers services in two other departments in transportation and mobility. It's any of the right-of-way permitting and staff review, small wireless facility fees, annual permits for utilities and fees for scooters and other related right-of-way permits. And in fire, it covers fire construction permit fees, review fees, fire construction permits, operational permits, special event operational permits, fire alarm, above ground storage tanks, fire code appeals, as well as state licensed facility operational permits. When you look at our fees, we decided the best way to present the impact of the changing in the fees is to do a couple or a handful of sample projects. On this sheet, you can see single family residential model and model off of the model, retail, big box retail, converting a carport to a living space, and on down the line. As you can see, I mentioned this earlier, the 3.5% is not additive in the second year. It is a total of 7% divided by 2. So the change in 2020 and July of 2024 will be the same as the change in July of 2025 for a total increase of 7%. An example is for our master builders and community builders, when they come in with their model plan, the review of that and the approval of that as a model currently will cost $33.50. And in July of 2025, after both increases have occurred, it will then be $4101.85. So a total increase of $268.35. The individual homes built off of that model have a corresponding permit, and you can see what those costs add to as you go across from $1,889.25 to $2,021.50. You can read it. I'm not going to go through all of them. Concurrently with the mayor and council action, we just want to make sure the stakeholders are aware that of an action that the department is reviewing that does not require mayor and council action. It is actually an administrative action, and we just want to make sure everybody's aware of it so that we can have those conversations as well, because it is happening concurrently. PDSD is currently using the February 2020 valuation tables. This is what the permit fees are based on. It's based on valuation. The valuation tables are created by the International Code Council and are updated twice a year in February and in August. As I mentioned, we're currently on the February 2020. We typically are on an update that annually, and we do want to get back to that. We are looking at the impacts of updating to the February 2024 valuation tables and are working with our stakeholders throughout the community to understand how to best do that. We are looking at a phased-in approach so that in a few years we will be on the current table and then be able to adjust on a regular basis from that. All right, so what comes next? As I wrap this up, and it's what comes next for all of us, we are all three looking for your feedback on the proposed changes. You can scan this QR code and that will enable you to give feedback directly to our departments. There will be a public hearing on April 9th where mayor and council will consider these proposals. They will be 3 separate public hearings, and the proposed implementation, as you heard from all three of us, is July 1, 2024. And then our department, Planning and Development Services, will have another implementation in July 2025. And that opens us up. So any questions from the attendees? Yes, Allison.
Thank you so much. I would just like to clarify something. The valuation increases, are the permit fees based then off of the valuation increases? As in the valuation increases are used to calculate the fees?
Some of our fees are based off of valuation, yes.
Okay.
And so they will go up correspondingly.
Okay, is it possible to, outside of this meeting, just work with you guys to find out exactly which of those are correlated to the valuations?
Yes, Allison, and that is why we want to make sure everyone's aware we're having these conversations, but we don't want to confuse the action by mayor and council. We are happy to meet with you and your members, if that makes sense, to walk through what the impact of the valuation tables are.
Yeah, because if some of those are increasing, then wouldn't the numbers you showed for the permit increases actually be different based upon the valuation increases?
Correct, but they are separate actions, and
Sure.
the full action evaluation hasn't been determined. Like I
Yes.
said, we're happy to meet with you and are having these conversations with external stakeholders as well.
Okay, got it. Is there, do you guys anticipate the timeline when you go to mayor and council to already have the valuation numbers? Because I'm
Yes.
trying to understand.
Yes,
Yeah,
Allison, we do.
Okay,
We emailed,
awesome.
you and I emailed earlier this morning, and I said that we were going to dive deep into valuations
Yeah.
at our next meeting that we have with actually multi-housing tomorrow morning, and at our next stakeholder meeting, which is in 2 weeks, the February 20 or the March 21st stakeholder meeting. And again, we're happy to meet with you specifically and your members.
No, thank you. We'll definitely do that. I just wanted to confirm that it was all going to be available prior to the
It will be.
to the hearing. Okay, thank you.
It is. It is and will be.
Okay, awesome, awesome.
Are there any other questions? All right, I guess if there aren't any other questions, our town hall, do we hang on?
If there's no other questions, I say we end it.